stars of the Pats special teams makes the hit. John Elway, an off-season for him. He's going to have surgery in a couple of days on the elbow. Tony Dorsett has been a disappointment. Sammy Winder, consistent again. Mark Jackson, brilliant the last 3 games. Vance Johnson having his best season. Clarence Kay at tight end. The offensive line reads Studdard, the rookie Perry, Bryan, Jariga, and Lanier. From the 29, that's Dorsett at tailback. And Johnson in motion. Elway underneath. Almost intercepted on the ricochet as Mobley could not wrap it up. And it bounded into the midst of that defense of New England, and Johnny Rembert close to picking it off. And it has been a great defensive effort the last 9 games. 7 won by New England. Brent Williams, Tim Goad, the rookie from North Carolina, on the nose, and Garen Barris back from injury. Andre Tippett again in the Pro Bowl. Ed Reynolds, Johnny Rembert, they felt he should have made the Pro Bowl. Lawrence McGrew are the linebackers. Ronnie Lopet, Fred Marion, Roland James, and Raymond Claiborne. 100 interceptions from those 4 men in the deep secondary.
Elway wants to get deep early. It wouldn't surprise me to see him going after them right here.
On 2nd and 10. To the sidelines and overshoots Vance Johnson. The coverage too good. Raymond Claiborne was there. The pass thrown right into the Denver bench.
The mental attitude of this Denver team such that I would believe the tempo of this game and perhaps even the outcome of this game determined in the first half of the first quarter of this game. And this is not a very auspicious start for Elway and the offense. Over this season, they have not shown the ability to come back. They did in their 2 Super Bowl seasons, but if they're down by any more than 7 points at the half, they simply don't bounce back, Dick.
And teams whose season will end today or have ended tend to play very well if they get ahead early, but if they fall behind, there's no emotional backdrop for them to support. 3rd and 10. Elway guns and hits Mark Jackson. Who else? Jackson from Purdue, hit by Raymond Claiborne. A first down out at the 42-yard line. 13 yards for Jackson, who has 41 catches, but what he's done in the last 3 weeks has been quite remarkable.
Talking to him yesterday, he said, you know, any other year, people would be excited about what I'm doing. Right now, they don't care. Well, you have to care when he comes up and makes that kind of big play for you. He got up off the ground, by the way, and talked to the official. Said, hey, are you going to allow them to bump me around like that downfield?
He's looking for his 4th consecutive 100-yard receiving game. That would be a Denver record. You have to go back to the great Lionel Taylor to find anyone who's done it 3 straight times. Steve Sewell gets the carry out to the 44, where Ed Reynolds from Virginia makes the tackle. Couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8. And there's an injured Patriot. It's the nose man, Tim Goad. And with it, a timeout. 13:41 remaining in the opening period. Just underway.
Of his ankle here, trying to keep him out of the play, comes right down on the ankle, and Goad goes down immediately, was helped off the field, and he is a rookie who has had a marvelous season, has produced as a starter through most of the year at that nose tackle position, has been replaced by Toby Williams on the nose.
2nd down and 8 for the Broncos at their 44. And it's complete at the 45-yard line of the Patriots. Claiborne with the tackle.
That pass looked like it got away from Elway, and not the traditional zipper that he throws. His violent throwing action reminiscent of a baseball fastball pitcher, but this ball fluttering all the way, and yet it is still complete.
Johnson really forcing Claiborne deep and then coming back to meet the ball, and an 11-yard gain. Might have been tipped there.
It could have been, but you see that ball shaking as it comes out of over the line of scrimmage.
Tony Dorsett down to the 42-yard line, maybe the 41. Of course, the word on Dorsett and the interest in the Dallas Cowboy camp on their former running stars, the fact that he was traded here to Denver for a number 5 choice, unless Dorsett gained 750 yards. In that case, it would be a number 3 pick. So Dallas rooting for Dorsett to have a big day.
One thing that really would concern me if I were Dan Reeves, they asked Tony Dorsett about his future here in Denver. He said, "I'm not worried about my future here. I really don't care." Well, my thought very simply, with that attitude, you probably don't have a future here.
Second down, 7. Just underway, first drive of the game. Elway guns, and Mobley drops his second. Ed Reynolds was the closest Patriot. Here's big Mobley, who lists at 6'5" and 256. He's probably closer to 270.
265 the last time we got a chance to look at him on a scale, but that's down 15 pounds from the weight he carried in 1987. He has been much more of a factor in the passing game during this season. He's also a pretty ferocious blocker, an extra tackle at that weight.
From the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. And he's going deep. And Vance Johnson, no flag. As cutting him off in the corner was number 23, Rod McSwain. And McSwain had position. Johnson couldn't get around him. Now, a look at the pattern of this season for these teams. Offensively, the NFL average is 62% pass, 38% rush for all teams. The Broncos pass it much more than that, 69%, but not as much as Marino and Miami. They're in the 70s. Now, you're going to look for them to pass. The running game has not been effective. Just the opposite for New England. We'll show you that when they have the ball. Stanley Morgan, who has not returned punts since 1981, replaces Irving Fryer, who's not in uniform. That one's going to land well into the end zone as Mike Moran, who's made the Pro Bowl, the only Denver Bronco in the Pro Bowl. Moran, the punter, and that's the first time he's kicked the ball in the end zone all season long, the first touchback. New England has it when we return. Realistically, a very quiet Denver crowd. Here's the Patriots starters. Eason with Stevens, the brilliant rookie. Perriman, a good blocker. Morgan, the veteran, all-time pass catcher for New England. Cedric Jones with the injured Fryer, and Russ Francis, the tight end. They gave you the offensive line after this first play as Perriman goes in motion. And Stevens, who runs with both hands wrapped around that precious pumpkin, has a couple. And even his teammates have marveled at the rookie Stevens, the fact that he has 1,000 yards and he doesn't run with that ball swinging out there and using balance. He's a north-south runner, and he runs behind 5 outstanding blockers: Danny Villa, Sean Farrell, Mike Babb, Ron Wooten, and Bruce Armstrong. Armstrong from Louisville, a very young tackle at 23. In fact, he was the youngest starter in the league last year at 22. He's developing into one of the top talents at that position in the league. Stevens again, and the Broncos spearheaded by Carl Mecklenburg and Greg Cragen. Cragen, 71, the nose tackle, who leads Denver in tackles. He and Tim Crumry of Cincinnati with that rare possibility of leading a team from that position. Here's the defensive line of Boyer, Cragen, and Townsend. We think about changes for Denver defensively. Some might come at that position. Simon Fletcher, Carl Mecklenburg, Rick Dennison. Michael Brooks starts today, second-year man from LSU. Steve Wilson and Jeremiah Castillo, a couple of soft corners. Dennis Smith and Mike Harden, the safety. Smith is tough hitter at that safety spot. Eason underneath to Morgan. He doesn't get the first down. He stopped at the 29 by Tyrone Braxton. So New England will have to punt the ball.
The key for this Denver team today, and it has been on the season, emotion. When they have come out and established themselves early in the ball game, they've been able to go on and win their share of games. When they have come out slow and had problems, they have not been able to bounce back and keep things going. A good start for the defense here today.
Fiegels to kick to Ricky Nattiel, who's back at the Denver 32. Strength of Fiegels' game, the height of his punt. The punt's his hang time. Spiral that Nattiel, a dangerous catch, and he's down at the 38-yard line. Flags are down. Back at the line of scrimmage.
And I would guess, because that is not a very strong punt, that if it's an ineligible man downfield too quickly, that Denver might refuse the penalty and put their offense on the field.
Illegal motion, a 35-yard punt by Fiegels.
Illegal motion, offense, number 41. Penalty is declined. 1st and 10, Denver.
We should point out, Merlin Olsen, well, we will when we return, the home field advantage, how that really has been effective for Denver. And New England has not scored a touchdown on grass this year. Tim Goad, his left ankle wrapped in ice, a sprained ankle, back for x-rays for New England. You know, at this time of the year, the one expression, especially the teams that have no future after this weekend, is we're playing for pride. That's a given. Aren't they playing for pride all season long?
Well, they're playing for pride. I think more realistically with a team like Denver, where they know the changes are in the wind, and particularly on defense, they're playing for job security. And that's something that's got to be the paycheck and the wallet are definitely involved here today.
Yeah, that's motivation. Denver in this scoreless first quarter. Sammy Winder up to the 44-yard line and a pickup of 6 yards. One of the things that we did not get a chance to chat with in our interview with Patrick Bolin was about Mike Shanahan, and he has some feelings about that. He said that while the offense has been okay, the loss of Shanahan at the last hour, and especially to the Raiders, was another part of the disappointment of this season. Said Al Davis's timing didn't exactly help us, and he took a good man away from us. The timing being that it was at the last hour where no other NFL assistants could be hired then by Denver to replace Shanahan. Whoa. Andre Tippett, the All-Pro, blasting through almost untouched to register a 3-yard loss.
They'll move Tippett around. He'll usually play on the left-hand side, but he frequently moves to the right, and he's stunning here behind Garen Veras. And you see how very quickly he moves around the blockers. They're talking to the offensive lineman for the Broncos. They were talking about, well, we hope that Tippett moves around. Nobody should have to block that guy all day by themselves. That's the kind of respect that he has from the Bronco team.
40, 3rd down and 8. Elway going long and intercepted by the veteran Raymond Claiborne at the 45 to 50. And down to the 41 of Denver goes Claiborne with his 4th interception of the season. Mark Jackson, the intended receiver, made the tackle.
Raymond Claiborne, a 33-year-old cornerback. For 10 years, he was in the top 10 of cornerbacks in the NFL. An absolute marvel at what has to be the toughest physical position in the NFL to play. And he still has great anticipation. Lost a little bit of speed because of a knee injury last year. But still not a guy you want to mess with. See how closely he's covering on Vance Johnson and how well he responded to that football.
Actually, Johnson behind him had Elway floated it high, then Claiborne was in trouble, but he read it down to the 31-yard line and close to a 1st down. That makes 101. Claiborne with 35 career interceptions. Roland James 27. Fred Marion 21. Marion, by the way, leading the team in tackles this year.
This group has been together, Dick, since 1984, and the kind of cohesiveness that provides to have that kind of longevity. They literally think with each other. A tremendous advantage for a defensive secondary.
Ronnie Lepet, who may be the best of the lot, has 18 interceptions. Rick Dennison closing in on Perriman, and Mecklenburg is at it with 62. Sean Farrell. And flags go down. Midway through the opening quarter, no score. New England close to a 1st down at the 30-yard line. And it's going to be one of those negating double fouls. One nullifying the other. And they will now measure for the 1st down.
I hate that. I know that sometimes it can't be avoided, but I've always wanted to see somebody singled out. And if you can do that, you can kind of put a stop to that. When you waive offsetting fouls, it doesn't really say anything to anybody.
And it's enough for a New England first down at the 30-yard line. The Patriots in their last 9 games have won 7, and their 2 losses were by 3 points to Buffalo and 3 points to Indianapolis, games that Raymond Berry's team might well have won. So he has really rallied them after making some
77 Denver. Phillies are all set. First down.
Conscious changes in the offensive structure. Not passing the ball. He said he just, after 19 interceptions in the first 6 games, we're going to run it and play defense, take our chances, and the formula has worked. Stevens. Left side. Mecklenburg makes the tackle down at the 24-yard line. 6 more for the rookie from Northwestern State, Louisiana. Now, the offense, NFL average, as we told you, 62 pass, 38 rush. And for the Patriots, who run the ball more than any team, 50-50.
And I'm sure if you just looked at the last 8 or 9 games, that number would drive up much higher on the rushing side, because they were pretty well balanced early in the year.
Only 1 pass for Eason. That was that short one to Morgan. That's Perriman, who played at Michigan, who drives down to the 23, but is hit hard by Townsend and Cragen for short yardage. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Coming into this ball game over the last 6 or 7 games, New England running a very high percentage of plays to the right, and yet here today against this Denver defense, they're going back to the left-hand side, anticipating, I'm sure, that Joe Collier will be stacking the defense and slanting to his defensive left, or to try and shut off that run to the right side.
Stevens trying to get outside, gets a great block, and he's on his way for a touchdown. What a block on the corner for Stevens, who runs right into the tool shed with 6 points.
Come on back, get out of those mowers and things. We need you back here on the field. A fine run, keyed by an outstanding block on the outside.
That was the longest run of the season for Stevens, who's piled up 1,000 yards with his longest 22 yards until now, a 23-yard touchdown run to give the Pats the early lead. Jason Starowski with the point after. And New England, looking for a wild card, has the early lead, 7-0. At Northwestern Louisiana State, John Stevens, who will start in the Pro Bowl as a rookie with his idol Eric Dickerson, has been productive already. 7-0. The kickoff down to Bell at the 5-yard line. And the former Boston College runner is out to the 26. Let's go back to the touchdown play and that tremendous block on the corner. From his 26, Elway to Dorsett. And Dorsett breaking into the open at the 40. 49-yard line of New England. Tony Dorsett. Flashes of yesteryear. Dorsett's longest run of the year.
Tony Dorsett has lost some of the leg strength, but he has not lost a great deal of speed. You give him an alley to run, and he can still motor. You see it there, run down from behind by number 38, Roland James, but his largest run of the year, and puts them down in New England territory.
Officially 26 yards, his longest previous run 21. And nothing much there for Sammy Winder, who is down to the 45 of New England.
Dorsett with just 1 carry last week, and it's obvious they're going to give him a chance to be more a part of the game plan here today.
15 carries the last 4 games for Dorsett, who is number 2 all-time to the great Walter Payton, in front of Jim Brown, Franco Harris, and John Riggins. Jackson left, Johnson right. Away from the shotgun. And that's incomplete. Ernest Gibson on the coverage of Jackson, and Elway too tall. Steve Sewell.
Andre Tippett is one of the most physical linebackers in football. In fact, he and Lawrence Taylor are the prototypes of the combo linebacker. A combo linebacker, one that can rush the passer, one that can play the run at the point of attack, and then the kind of a linebacker that can also drop back into coverage. And Tippett certainly with all three of those skills. And boy, I tell you, he is tough to stop when he gets up ahead of steam.
Patriots had their eyes on Tippett, and he was a bargain as the 41st player picked. All-America of Iowa. Offsides. And nose man Toby Williams. Elway with a free down, and he can't find Ricky Nattiel. Raymond Claiborne on the coverage.
They moved Brent Williams into the inside, and I believe, Dick, that it was Brent Williams rather than Toby that got offside on that last play, and they will have had to scramble because of the injury to Goad.
Offside. Defense. Number 96. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Third down.
Brent Williams it was, so third down again for Denver, but they get 5 yards down to the 40-yard line. That'll bring up third down and a long 2. Those receivers down near the end zone on the far side will be staring right back into the setting sun. Elway looking for Jackson. Instead goes underneath to Dorsett, and he has a first down at the 31-yard line. Now Jackson cleared out and Dorsett underneath.
Ironic to see Dorsett catch that pass early in the season. They wanted Tony Dorsett to be more involved with the passing game. They had trouble throwing that pass. Elway has trouble with that finesse kind of flare pass to the outside. Dorsett, that's exactly the kind of pass that he can handle most effectively from his position as a tailback.
7-0 New England leads on a 23-yard touchdown run by rookie John Stevens. 4 minutes left. First quarter here in Denver. Sammy Winder on the draw. And he has good yardage inside the 25 of New England. About 7 behind the block of Orson Mobley. Fred Marion made the stop. Winder, who had been the top rusher for Denver the last 6 years, but will relinquish that unless he has a sensational day today, to Tony Dorsett. Dorsett with about a 140-yard lead on him coming into this final game. Winder crushed. 95 Ed Reynolds filling the hole, the linebacker from Virginia.
The Broncos often use Mobley, and you saw him coming across your screen there, number 89, as a lead blocker, an extra blocker in that situation. And in that situation, it was Keith Karts, number 72, missing the linebacker who was filling inside out. Had they picked him up, there would have been a little room, but boy, you don't want to do that. It's a rude hello for your running back when you give those linebackers a free shot.
No gain on the play, so it's 3rd and 4. And the Broncos from the shotgun will use 4 wide receivers. And there's Mark Jackson. Thrown out of bounds by Ronnie Lepet. And a first down, a gain of 7. Jackson, whose college quarterback was Jim Everett, who's had a sensational year for the Rams as he matures.
Right-hand side of your screen, and Lepet is not more than a step away, and with an ordinary quarterback, you can close that kind of gap. Lepet with good closing speed, but Elway's arm strength doesn't give defensive backs much time to respond. You give your man a step and a half, and Elway will get him the football.
Jackson with 2 of those 4 catches. And on first down, Dorsett to the 15-yard line. So Garen Veras in on the play along with Ed Reynolds. Veras' return from injury has been a key to New England's hopes down the stretch. They regard him as their top lineman. He played at Stanford, missed 5 games due to a knee injury, came back sooner than they had expected.
And he said he's 100%. I talked to him yesterday. He said that knee feels strong. He said, I feel like I'm back to 100% speed. And he is important with Tippett on the left side, the good pressure he can bring, and Veras back in the lineup. Those are the two best pass rushers on this team. And with both of them missing a lot of time this year, made it hard on them.
Little reverse to Natil. And then he pitches to Dorsett. And he's out of bounds at the 11, maybe the 12-yard line. Well, a little wrinkle there for Denver here in this final home game of the year. The option is Natil had a choice of staying with it or tossing back to Dorsett.
Well, you don't want your quarterback to run this option, but why not let Ricky Natil run it here? That's exactly what they do in this situation. Optioning number 38, Roland James, who did a fine job of reacting to that play to keep Dorsett from gaining more yardage.
He did play it very well, did James.
And Dick, that's the kind of thing with no pressure on this Denver offense, you're going to see some strange wrinkles here today.
They trail 7-0. They're deep in New England territory on 3rd and 4. And there's Vance Johnson with a first down at the 6-yard line in front of Ronnie Lepet.
An excellent read by John Elway. New England blitzing Ronnie Lepet, the cornerback, from the outside, and Elway read it quickly, just simply turned and got that football off, put it in the air quickly enough to avoid the blitz.
Yeah, Roland James had to come over to cover on the play with Lepet on the corner blitz, and Elway picked the right man, and a 1st and goal at the 6. Then an impressive drive that was ignited on Dorsett's run. Winder gets about 3. Tim Jordan and company make the tackle. The word on Tim Goad, serious sprained ankle, not expected to return today.
One of the things that John Elway does not want to do today is to fall on that right elbow. It's a bursa problem with that elbow, and it's an ugly thing to look at, but he said, I don't have any trouble with it unless I fall down on it. Well, there's another man who knows about injury, not in uniform today. Irving Fryer with a hamstring pull, right hamstring, exploded on a crucial catch in overtime, the second of that overtime drive that allowed New England to win last week against Tampa Bay.
Minute to go in the first quarter, and Denver trying to tie it up. On 2nd and goal, Elway has to throw it away. Clarence Kay was open, but Elway ran out of time.
Elway got up saying, I just needed another second. Pressure coming from the right-hand side. Lawrence McGrew, number 50, gets enough of a hand on Elway to put him down. And Elway's legs have taken a beating during this season. He missed a ball game earlier with an ankle injury after a hit in an Atlanta ball game. And cumulative hits over the season have taken their toll on him. He's lost some of that brilliant speed he came in with. But the one thing he has that is amazing is leg strength. Talking to their strength coordinator, and he said Elway's legs are as strong as our offensive and defensive linemen. He said not great upper body strength, but powerful legs.
So the penalty against New England with the automatic first down, and Elway given 4 downs from the 2, and it's through the hands of Clarence Kay, a certain touchdown. No announcement made by the referee, apparently holding against New England. And the automatic first down. And here's Kay all by himself, and Elway with that rocket arm right through the hands of his tight end.
Most teams with a first down right down inside the 2-yard line are going to run that football. Denver Broncos do not have that power back, that power lead back, or a power back to give the football to. They have to be creative down inside that 5-yard line.
4 shots from the 1, so it must have been interference in the end zone because they took the penalty to the 1. Here's Winder for the touchdown. Quite a drive by Dan Reeves' Broncos. 13 plays after the touchdown by Stevens of New England. And the Elway-led drive brings back the tying answer if Carlos can kick the extra point. Bad snap, and a good job by Kubiak to be able to scramble and get that ball teed up for Carlos. The game is even at 7. 74 yards in 13 plays for the Denver Broncos.
We talked about Orson Mobley coming in motion as a lead blocker. Watch Winder running right up in behind him as he opens up the can here. That's the kind of creative blocking you see. It's a trap block by Mobley, and a good reaction by Johnny Rembert, but not able to hold him down inside.
And Winder even at that, fighting and just getting that ball across the goal line. So the Patriots defense unable to stop Denver on that determined drive, and with 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter, it's a 7-all tie. Sammy Winder, not a brilliant running back, doesn't have the great speed, but solid he has been. You can just underline that when you talk about his talent.
You never have to question whether he's going to give you 100%. I can tell you that. And he is great at trapping. He's great at wiggling and winding and swinging his way through those tight little crevices, and that's exactly what he had to do on that particular play.
Carlos to kick it off. Sandy Martin comes up to get it at the 80s. Return one for a touchdown this year, this rookie from LSU. And he's to the 29-yard line. He has terrific speed, does Martin. Michael Brooks made the tackle. And New England, with time running out here in the first quarter, comes on the field. Eason with just the one throw, 4 yards to Morgan. Stayed on the ground, and Stevens the primary ball carrier.
There's never been any question about Tony Eason's athletic ability. A fine athlete, not only in football but other sports as well. It was his competitive desire that people questioned. He seems to have come back from this injury much more competitively, much more emotionally.
It's really emotional in the win against Tampa Bay last week. Underneath to Stevens, and the rookie shows he can receive it as well. Has a first down at the 43. Rick Dennison, the tackler.
Some players come into this league with maturity. John Stevens has never really been a rookie. He came in like a veteran, has played like a veteran. And so many rookies have trouble toward the end of the year. They simply cannot stand up to the long season. I'm sure it's worn on him. In fact, it's taken about 15 to 20 pounds off his frame during the season, but it has not stopped him from being effective.
End of the first quarter at Mile High Stadium. The Patriots looking for a wild card, and the Broncos are tied. Busier on the ground than anyone in the NFL, keeping that up today. As they describe it in New England, they sometimes run off guard, sometimes they run off tackle, sometimes they run between guard and tackle.
And when you're running as many times as this team is running, you've got to have tough running backs, and they're really blessed that way. And Perriman and Stevens, in fact, Stevens was an offensive lineman in high school, and his high school coaches told Raymond Berry, we'd like to see how he could do on defense. And Perriman was recruited by Penn State. They wanted him as a linebacker. So you're talking about a couple of real tough ball carriers and a tough blocker ball carrier in both cases as well.
Stevens will sit this play out, and it's Perriman with Elgin Davis in the backfield behind Eason. And Perriman, the fullback, gets the call out to the 47-yard line. Cragen made the tackle. Mecklenburg was there as well. Kevin Guidry has replaced Jeremiah Castile at the corner now for Denver.
Greg Cragen is by all odds the kind of guy that should not be in a Denver uniform. After the season last year and their loss in the Super Bowl, they said, we've got to get bigger and stronger inside. They did not find anyone to replace him. They drafted Ted Gregory, #1. Gregory was a bust. And Greg Cragen, number 71, has had an outstanding year. Quick, agile, and smart.
Perriman again. And he's to the 50 and plows to the 49 of Denver. He'll be shy of a first down by about 2.
Dick, the word finesse is one that is used often to describe not only this Denver defense, but the Denver offense as well. They want to fool you, both offensively and defensively. They want to shift. They want to stunt. Offensively, they want to fool you with formations and motion. The problem with playing that kind of finesse football on both sides of the line of scrimmage is that you lose a lot of your aggressiveness. And I think in the process, you lose a lot of the physical nature that you need when you match up against power teams. And when we're talking power, we're talking about a number of the teams in the NFC in particular. And you look at those last Super Bowl matchups in particular as well.
Those are the first symptoms of the disease here in Denver. Eason floats one out to Mosi Tutupu, the veteran from Southern California, and it appears to be enough for a first down. Jim Ryan on the coverage.
And did Tutupu know exactly where that marker was, made by inches? Mosi Tutupu slowing down a little bit after so many great years. But on my all-time underrated team, this is the fullback right here. Has just had an incredible career at New England. Never missed a football game. I mean, think about that. Think about that for a second.
Mosi Tutupu, and he won't hurt you on special teams.
Oh, no. One of the all-time great special teamers.
Here comes the rookie Stevens after sitting out the last series. Perriman getting the call. It's Stevens blasting for 5. Dennison and Wilson collaborate on the tackle. Stevens, whose body fat is 7%. As you said, he lost weight. He was listed at 220 at the start of the year. He's down around 205 now. And some were worried that that might reflect a problem, but not so.
Trainer's not worried about that. He had built himself up through a lot of weightlifting, and it's hard to sustain that during the season, even though this New England team lifting twice a week during the season under Raymond Berry and working on their strength constantly. But it's hard to hold that kind of bulk when you're playing as hard as Stevens has been playing.
2nd and 5. Stevens again trying to get outside and has the speed to turn the corner inside the 40. He'll be short of the first down. Harden and Guidry with the tackle.
Very often when you see a play like this, you look up ahead at the block. Watch 34, Perriman, right there on 56, Brooks, making it possible for that little bounce out to the outside. There's no question about how badly he wants that yardage. He'll do whatever it takes to get it. He is especially dangerous, by the way, when he can bounce outside.
Well, the Patriots have run left 6, middle 3, right 2. That's usually just the other way around. They run to the right side, so they're trying to mix it up today against Denver. That's a short 2 for the first down, and it's Perriman who's going to be close. Mecklenburg submarining in with Cragen to make it difficult.
I don't think he's going to get it. In fact, the official is saying 4th down, and you see there what an important cog Mecklenburg is to this defense. And of course, his missing 6 games and playing with one hand for 2 really put a damper into not only the physical nature of this defense, but the emotional nature as well. And that's Mecklenburg at the bottom of that stack, who was able to just get his hands on the legs there and trip up the ball carrier, keep him from getting that first down.
Now the ball at the 37 of Denver, and 4th and about a yard. Raymond Berry is not going to gamble. Ricky Nattiel waiting for Jeff Fiegel's punt. And a flag is down.
Game, offense number 6.
Taking their time, and that'll give Fiegels a little more time. You heard referee Hantak say that you don't have to take the penalty.
Well, a lot of times a team wants that yardage because that's an awkward distance to kick from. The kicker has to pull back a little bit, and he has trouble controlling the football.
Eagles, who didn't always get a lot of opportunity to kick for the Miami Hurricanes, they didn't fall back into punt formation very often.
They had to dust him off when they needed him. It's a little bit tough back there for these receivers, although shade is covering now a good section of the field. The sun bright behind this kicker. Beautiful high kick. Too far. That's the thing they worry about. They try and kick the soft one, and it's like hitting a golf ball. Away it goes.
So Fiegels nails it into the end zone. It'll be the touchback for Denver. They'll take over at the 20. We're in the 2nd quarter here at Mile High Stadium, and the Patriots and the Broncos are still even. The rookie nose man for New England has returned to the sidelines. Earlier reports said he wouldn't play today, but he looks like he might be ready to go. He's strapping that helmet on. Elway out of the backfield to Winder. And Winder gains 6 before Johnny Rembert can drag him down. Sammy Winder from southern Mississippi, and here comes Goad back on the field, so he did recover in a hurry.
Goad back on the field, and Dick, one of the changes that this New England team has made in their defense, they were at the beginning of the year playing two-gap defense. But as they got into the season, they realized they were going to have to start playing. Well, go ahead and turn that one loose, fellas. We'll have to get back to the line to see where they are in the gaps. But they have gone to gap-type defenses to get away from the holding.
Winder on 2nd and 4, slashes to a first down and more before Fred Marion can make the open field tackle at the 33. Well, Broncos are running the ball well, and that's been a key to the last drive and maybe this one.
Surprisingly well. This is not a strength of this is not a strength of Denver's offense. In fact, not able to really generate a running game so very often during the year has forced them to rely so heavily on the pass and so heavily on Elway that they have become just an absolutely one-dimensional team, and the run game important to them here today.
Dorsett, and like a young pony out to the 39-yard line. Williams gets him from behind.
In earlier games, during a time when Dorsett was not being effective, we had watched him hesitate very frequently at the line, and I think that may be go down again. No, it's Brent Williams down. Number 96. Williams, who had missed this entire week because of his mother's death, is slow to get up here today.
So we have a timeout at the 8:51 mark. Denver running the ball effectively in this first half against New England. It's tied at 7. 8 minutes and 46 seconds left in the opening half. And Denver 2nd down and 4 at their 40. Well, a long 3 then. Tony Dorsett. Yeah, he's visited the Fountain of Youth this week. He's running like the Dorsett of old, behind the block of the 300-pound rookie from Southern, Gerald Perry.
Perry, who had his off-the-field troubles early this week, has started a number of ball games. A very physical and athletic 300-pounder plus. And Dorsett in this ball game, Dick, we'd earlier seen him hesitate so often as he came to the line and be tentative in his cuts. Very positive and aggressive here today.
Dorsett out Winder now, the lone setback behind Elway. And pulling off the line of scrimmage was Ken Lanier.
If you're wondering why Lanier got up early, you look across the line and you see Andre Tippett. Now, Tippett is so quick off the ball.
Number 76, 5-yard penalty.
That Lanier knows that he's got to get back. Watch, 76, bottom of your screen, and his total concentration is on number 56. And he lost his concentration, unfortunately, on the count. He is one of the, in fact, I think the most underrated tackle in football. And if he can short set even a great pass rusher, it's the battle is virtually over. The battle between those two today is a classic one.
Brent Williams, who left the field, is okay and has now returned. Elway gets out of the pocket. And Johnny Rembert watches the slide at the 45 as Elway ducks down after a 2-yard gain. Despite the battle with the legs and the hits for Elway, he has rushed for 225 yards this year and is the first quarterback in NFL history to put a consecutive string together. You just see Tippett's rush on Elway.
Tippett obviously blocked on that play, but has a chance at Elway here, and that slide, a wise one for Elway, who does not want to get himself hurt here in this final game of the season.
There it is, the first to have 4 consecutive seasons, 300 yards passing and 200 yards rushing. 2nd and 13, and he throws it away. Clarence Kay was within 20 yards of the ball, so Elway said, that's the man I was looking for.
2 linebackers coming on that play, and Elway with nowhere to go. Right-hand side of your screen, 52 Rembert and 50 McGrew. There they go. Actually, McGrew from the left-hand side and Rembert outside on the right. Rembert's had a fine year, given the opportunity to step in because of an injury to Ed Williams. And Raymond Berry pulled him aside and said, you're going to have a chance to have a Pro Bowl season, but you've got to get serious. You've got to get in there and go to work. And Rembert responded to that, has kept his weight down, which had been a problem in the past, and has come through with an excellent football season.
Good time for Elway, and there's There's the man open, Mark Jackson. He's at the 30 and out of bounds at the 23. A flag is down in the secondary. 31 yards if for Mark Jackson. And that one's going to count.
Well, let's see. It could conceivably be an offensive interference call, and if it's not, then it will count.
Well, he signaled defensive holding.
Well, then it's going to count. You had the advantage on me.
So Mark Jackson looking for another 100-yard day.
Holding. Defense, number 42. Penalty is declined. First down.
And so his third catch of this first half, and he now has unofficially 51 yards, so he's halfway there.
He has replaced Vance Johnson as the big play man on this roster, and Johnson, who had had that status for several years, has been injured a good part of the year, playing with a bad foot, and Jackson really has stepped forward to take charge. And the three amigos have, well, they really haven't been three full-fledged amigos this year. It's been Jackson more often than not to come up with the big plays.
Certainly in the last 4 games. The fake draw to Winder, then he throws to Winder. Good play, and a gain down to the 15-yard line. A fake to Winder, and New England saw the fake, let Winder slip through the line of scrimmage, and then Elway just dumped it off to him in an 8-yard gain. Oh, and a 7-all tie here in the second quarter. Denver threatening to take the lead.
Working to use the versatility of this offense. And of course, Elway, a perfect trigger man, able to get back, get good vision on the field, and a very quick delivery. So hard for a defense to react to.
Second and short for Elway. Underneath to Kay, and a first and goal at the 5-yard line. Rembert and Tippett, the tacklers, but Denver moving the ball well. Tim Jordan in on the play.
Clarence Kay had a neck injury in the opening game against Seattle, and that injury kept him out of a couple of ball games, but it did something else to him. It made him a little less aggressive. He was a great blocker early in his career. He is not as willing to stick his head in there today, and I don't blame him for that, but he is compensated by improving as a receiver.
Tony Dorsett for the touchdown, untouched. Fans here in Denver must be wondering, where was Dorsett when we needed him in some of those losing games? He has really run well today.
That's Dorsett's first touchdown in 12 weeks, Dick, and it couldn't come at a better time for Denver. Igniting these fans, giving them an opportunity to sustain some emotion and keep that first half flair alive and going. We mentioned how important that is to this Denver team.
Adds the extra point, and Tony Dorsett's 91st career touchdown has given the Broncos the lead, 14-7. Fiesta Bowl for the collegiate championship. Everywhere but Miami, they still think they're number one, and rightfully so. Elgin Davis, the flag's down, is finally pushed out of bounds by the kicker Carlos. Flags are dropped back at the 20-yard line. And it is against the Patriots. So a 44-yard return is nullified. And Raymond Berry's Patriots, with a win, simply would be a wild card team, but Denver trying to be nasty hosts.
And there was the penalty right there on the tight end as he hit from the backside. Steve Johnson trying to do a job, but got on the back of the shoulder.
Illegal block on the return, number 85, penalized 10 yards, first down.
Chance to watch that last play. Double team inside right here. A block out, the key block thrown right here by Winder to allow Dorsett to come into the end zone. Really a fine play, and Winder just unloads on number 52, Johnny Rembert. Look at that block inside to spring Dorsett into the end zone.
Well, whenever you see a great run, often that other guy in the backfield is ignored, and he is a key. Eason's pass is shy of Cedric Jones. Kevin Gidry on the coverage. And you can see Eason does not have the powerful arm. And for those of you who are not following the NBC's coverage last week, Eason's thumb still does not have 100% feeling. So when you think about it, if you're holding a football and you're trying to throw the ball hard or long, that thumb is really the pressure you need for control and power, and he just doesn't have it yet.
It's the motor nerves that were injured in that right hand, and he said they're getting better all the time. But Eason, who is such a natural thrower, now has to think about that throwing motion.
Lobs this one out, complete to Stanley Morgan. And Morgan, who had 501 catches coming into this game, is out of bounds with a first down after that pickup. 12 yards on the play. Well, Cincinnati's Bengals in overtime beating the Washington Redskins. They know they don't have to play next week and will host the following. And for the Patriots, a win today, they'll play either Houston or Cleveland. It would guarantee the wild card. They'll play Houston if they beat the Browns tomorrow. They play Cleveland if the Browns beat Houston. And they're still alive even with a loss. But Cleveland and Buffalo and Indianapolis all figure in that. Indianapolis would have to lose. Stevens. Boy. 31-yard line, but what blocking out in front.
The thing I like about Stevens, you watch him run, he really attacks the tackler. And that was a quality that I always was impressed with in Walter Payton. In fact, Payton rarely got into a tight situation where he didn't unload on the guy who was trying to get at him. Stevens said it's his philosophy, and he followed Payton in this, that if he's the one that's doing the hitting, he's not going to get hurt as badly as the guy that's trying to tackle him.
3 more yards for him, or 7 more, so it's 2nd and 3. And Stevens hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Dennis Smith coming up from strong safety to make the tackle. Stevens falling forward to the 32. He'll be about a half-yard shy, it would appear, of a first down.
These Bronco defenders know that there are going to be big changes on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage. And this last game and their performance in this last game will leave a final impression in the minds of the coaches, in the minds of Dan Reeves, and those who will be evaluating. Joe Collier will not be here. Many of his staff will be gone. Many of the players in those uniforms on Denver defense will be gone. And they want to play well here today.
Stevens again, and he almost fought his way through the entire pack and would have had a touchdown. It took the whole team to get him down, and the last wave was there to trip him up at the 37-yard line, Dennison and Dennis Smith.
And you want to ask the question, Dick, how many more yards would Stevens have on the year if he ran with one arm on the ball? There's no question it takes away some of his mobility, some of the quickness in his cutting.
John Stevens, 5th behind some great talent: Dickerson, Craig, Herschel, Bell. How about Ickey Woods today for Cincinnati? There's another great rookie in the AFC. Stevens. He's to the 49-yard line, and another first down before Mecklenburg can get to him.
Just going back to that one arm around the ball, two arm around the ball philosophy. If he were carrying with one arm, I'm sure you would have more fumbles. And you mentioned he's only had one fumble on the season, a most secure carrier of the ball. And those fumbles cost you a lot of yardage and cost you field position and opportunities to score. So I'm sure that Raymond Berry willing to give up some yardage just to be sure that that ball is secure.
Boy, played that last one like a 10-year veteran. He took off the linebacker, knocked him off stride, went out, caught the pass. Eason to Morgan, and the veteran has a first down at the 39 of the Broncos. Kevin Gidry playing very loose on the corner, the rookie from LSU.
Without Mark Haynes in the lineup, Gidry getting a chance to play, and the rookie, who has seen very little action, of course, moved in because Steve Wilson is starting over at that left cornerback position. I'll tell you, there are a lot of faces back there that would scare me if I was a defensive coordinator. And that's one thing you have to say about Collier. He has operated here without a great many pieces to work with.
Is it his fault that they apparently have not drafted well on defense here in Denver?
Well, we know they haven't drafted well on defense. That's an established fact.
Reggie Dupart gets his first call of the day, and Dennison greets him after about a yard gain.
Good example of that, as we mentioned, with Ted Gregory, their #1 pick, was supposed to be an impact player.
New England Patriots, so much at stake for them, and they know that a wild card is not to be something thrown away, because you need not be embarrassed. It was as a wild card team 3 years ago. They went all the way to New Orleans in the Super Bowl. They trail 14-7, 2 minutes to go in the half. It's 2nd down and 8. Eason showing pretty good mobility. Walt Boyer bounces him out of bounds at the 35.
You mentioned that trip to New Orleans in the Super Bowl. They share some Super Bowl nightmares with the Denver Broncos in their very one-sided loss to the Chicago Bears. They know what it feels like to go through a season remembering and being reminded of how poorly you played in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's one of the arguments that Denver is using now, that they had such a short season because of being in the Super Bowl. Is that legitimate? I mean,
think
it's only another month.
They've had 2 years, though, of intense pressure, and with that Super Bowl came a lot of off-season responsibility as well. They've had 2 intense years of pressure and extra playoff games, and I think they've paid a price for it emotionally.
That's not the physical, but the emotional. The direct snap is to Tutupu, and a flag down as Steve Wilson makes the tackle at the 30. And it's motion against New England.
New England trotting out a few tricks of their own, a play that we have seen the Houston Oilers use very effectively. The direct snap to the running back.
Well, even if you count the play, it appears to be short by a yard of a first down. But they take
illegal
the
motion. Offense, number 30, penalized 5 yards. Repeat the down. 3rd down.
They don't want to flirt with a 4th and 1 or 2.
Now they're concerned that Barry may go with it. It's Tutupu apparently that's getting an early start and not used to taking this direct snap. Right-hand side of your screen, number 30, and you see him sliding forward. Now he can legally move, but he cannot slide forward. And I think what they're saying is that he was moving forward as that ball was snapped.
Big play for the Patriots, trailing 14-7. Eason has his man, and it's a first down at the 24 to Morgan. And are they ever playing soft on Stanley Morgan? Even though Eason does not have the strength of arm, and it seems the ball's taking a long time getting there, Morgan's so wide open it doesn't matter.
This Denver secondary has had injury problems all year long. They lack a great deal of speed. They're not able to keep up with some of the faster receivers. Dennis Smith from his safety position well off on that play.
Game back in New England. He's probably telling them, well, you ought to see how I handle Stanley when we get to the dress shop. They own a dress shop together down in Tennessee. That's when she's the boss.
Morgan, an incredible story and his longevity. Although he has a coach, Harold Jackson, that put in 17 years in the NFL, and he credits Jackson's advice on taking care of himself physically for his longevity.
What a big throw for New England on 3rd and 11. Eason gets the first down at the 24. This is Reggie Dupart, who played at SMU, and he's inside the 20-yard line. Let's check the clock now. Minute 23, and the clock stopped for the moment as the Patriots call timeout.
We mentioned the importance of the early going for Denver, and they have got to be thrilled to be up here in the first half of this game. In the last 5 games, they've been outscored 135-17 in the first half.
Well, we have the day off tomorrow, Merlin, and I'm looking forward to watching 2 games on NBC. Do we have a doubleheader for you with such strong playoff implications? How about that first game after NFL Live? At 12:30 at 1 o'clock, Houston and Cleveland will kick it off, and the winner goes to the playoffs. Buffalo at Indianapolis. Buffalo, there's still some importance there for home field. In Indianapolis, who knows, depending on the game today. The Colts, stranger things have happened. Miami at Pittsburgh play out the year. But then after watching the first game, how about Seattle and the Raiders? The winner represents the west of the AFC, avoids the wild card extra game, and Kansas City at San Diego, where rumors are both those coaches are in serious trouble.
And only 2 of those games not meaningful in terms of who is going to play in the playoffs. That's interesting, isn't it?
2nd down for Eason. Underneath he goes to the rookie Sammy Martin for short yardage. Jeremiah Castile makes the tackle, a 4-yard pickup. No huddle for the Patriots. 3rd down and call it 2. Patriots have 2 timeouts left. Ooh, what a hit at the 16-yard line, short of the first down. Dennis Smith again.
4th down, a choice for Barry. Do you go for the field goal here, or do you try and pick it up? It's 3rd and a healthy 2 yards to go.
Well, it's 4th now after that play.
4th. I mean, do you go for it on 4th or take the field goal?
They mark it at the 15, Merlin, excuse me. So it's 4th and a long one, and Barry wants to think about it.
I don't blame him. A critical situation. And when you have a good, solid running game, you do have some options in a situation like this.
You were talking about Barry being the most unique coach in the NFL. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely unique. You talk to this man, he is without ego. He is without ego, and he runs a camp. He coaches as he would like to have been coached, with great regard for the input of the players. He'll ask them, how do you feel? He is very careful about maintaining their conditioning during the season. In other words, not working them too hard. He said, I want them ready to play on Sunday. If they feel that they need some time off, he'll give them time off. He'll do whatever he can to get them out on the field at maximum productivity on a Sunday. And then he is the last guy who wants to take any credit. Almost selfless and totally unselfish.
Who's the antithesis of Barry in the NFL?
Well, Jerry Glanville, I would say, and in his own way, a very unique players to coach, but he is about as flashy as they get and as dramatic as they get, if you will.
He's going to go for the field goal. It'll be 32 yards. Starowski, who has missed some short ones, hits this one right down the middle. So Barry, figuring why leave without something, wants to go into that locker room with the field goal and gets it. A 32-yard kick by the former Tulsa man. He went to Tulsa as the team manager, became the field goal kicker, and is, like so many kickers, has tried to find a place for 3 years, and he's never forgotten, he said, the big referee in the sky when he hits one. He points up saying, hey, sometimes I missed him and I forgot to thank the good Lord.
Well, he's had some good fortune in arriving in New England. This is his 7th team. Well, that's a lot of opportunities to kick the football, and he's pleased to have had a chance to stick around.
14-10. Now, as Denver apparently with 31 seconds left, might just run out the clock. We'll see what Reeves has in mind. There's really been a formula here late in the season, hasn't there? The teams that are out of it, and we had an example last week, the Jets. Monday night we had an example, Miami. Today, Denver. If you let them get ahead early, those teams that the season may be over play like they're going into the playoffs. And here's another case in point. The Broncos getting off early. Washington today early against Cincinnati.
So important to establish that momentum. We talked about Denver's difficulties in doing that. Well, they've been able to hold it out here so far in the first half of this ball game.
New England, like Cincinnati, carries 2 kickers on the roster. Teddy Garcia with a kickoff, and Bell takes the touchback at the 20.
That lead on the scoreboard, even more important when you consider that down by 7 or more points, Denver has been unable to come back all year. So they like being able to look up there at halftime and say, hey, we got the lead.
And if you look at the history of these two teams, and New England seems to always play in Denver, the Patriots in the last 4 games here at Denver have either been ahead or tied at halftime and lost all 4.
Well, maybe they say this is different. We're behind at the half. Now maybe we can come back and win.
Elway looking very loose as he left the sidelines. Maybe there's a little surprise in the works here. No, straight ahead goes Winder. And he has 8 or 9 yards before Ed Reynolds.
I think they're going to give him a turnover on that.
Hold on. This would really be something with 19 seconds left. The clock's still running. And now timeout call.
Question of where the whistle was blown, because the ball stripped away. They deliberately went inside and tried to yank that football out of the arms. Were able to pop it loose, and I think the officials are talking about, was the whistle blown? No,
New England.
It's not blown.
Roland James steals it, and with it, Dan Reeves may just see that lead stolen here at the end of the half.
And what seemed to be an absolutely routine play turns into what possibly could be a critical opportunity. Ed Williams holding him up, and Roland James just reaching inside and hooking that football and performing some grand larceny right there. See him stripping that ball away. No question, he had it before Dorsett hit the ground.
Before Sammy Winder, and Winder rarely fumbles.
Now they're looking upstairs. Winder, in fact, I think that's the... Was that Winder or Dorsett? That's
Winder.
It was Winder. The first fumble of the year then for Winder. Did not have a fumble going into today.
That was a case where the linebacker Reynolds actually holds up Winder and tackling him. He keeps him up long enough for James to slip in and go for the ball.
And of course, that's the kind of play that Barry works on. The first thing he did when he took over as a head coach in
play
New England
is called on the field.
was to talk to his team about takeaways and giveaways, about ball security, and about stripping the football away from the opponents. And he was able to get his team to turn those numbers around.
The scoreboard had been late on the timeouts used. New England has used all of their timeouts, so they have a play or two perhaps. They're in field goal range. Eason, plenty of time, throws it away. 10 seconds left. And we'll see whether or not Barry sends in the field goal unit right now. It's out of Starowski's reasonable range at the moment. They might go to Teddy Garcia, who has a stronger leg, if not as accurate.
Now Barry feels that Garcia may have a 60-yarder in him, and will give him opportunities on anything over the 45 range.
Garcia, number 7. Cedric Jones has to get out of bounds, and that was the key to that play. He buys a little yardage down to the 23-yard line, 6 yards on the play. And here comes the field goal unit, and it will be Starowski.
You think he was listening to you when he said has to get out of bounds? He looked like he lit the afterburners heading for the sideline.
And this one will be from outside the 30, so about 40 yards plus. His longest of his 7 successful field goals has been 35 yards. So this would be by 5 yards the longest of the year for Jason Starowski, who misses to the left.
That was not a good snap. Eagles did a good job of getting that ball down, but it threw off the timing of the kicker, Starowski. And he was unable to get his foot on that ball in proper rhythm.
No question it was the snap low and trouble, and the timing destroyed it. In fact, Starowski got a pretty good leg on it despite those difficulties. So Denver escapes what could have been a disastrous fumble late in this first half. And the Broncos, I guess, playing for pride and for their future occupation, lead 14-10 at the half. NFL Live after these words from your local station.
All right, Bob Costas back along with Ahmad Rashad in New York. The Broncos leading at 14-10. The Patriots could have moved to within a point, but the Jason Starowski field goal attempt from about 40 yards misses off target, and so they can't take advantage of really a theft by Roland James, not so much a fumble by Sammy Winder. James just reached in and yanked it free, and the Pats had a chance to capitalize but could not. They trail 14-10, and even though on a neutral field you'd have to say that this year's Patriots, winners of 6 of their last 7, are the stronger team, you get into Mile High where the Broncos, as we said on the pregame, are always good, and the Patriots are a 2-5 team on the road. You got a toss-up game.
I think the Patriots will have a rallying point because they get no respect at all. Here's a team, if they win, they go right into the playoffs. Denver is out of it, and all we hear the whole first half is people talking about Denver this, Denver that. I really think the third quarter should be the telling quarter because Denver, they'll play them tough as long as they stay close, but I got a feeling that Raymond Berry will give the big speech at halftime, tell them they got one more half or their season's over. They'll respond, and I think they'll take over in the third quarter.
Well, a fine day in December in Denver, and it was a good first half for the Broncos, who lead New England. Patriots playing for the wild card, 14-10. Here's the scoring, the longest run of the year for John Stevens. Started it off for the Patriots as he rumbled 23 yards to give the Pats a 7-0 lead. It was the first touchdown scored by New England on grass in 10 quarters this year. But back